Hello, good night. This is U.S. immigration attorney Sharifa Tharpe. I'm here live to take your U.S. immigration related questions. I'm also here to give you the good news that we've received today, and just today alone, we've gotten 4 new work permits in the office. So that's amazing news. Or we have gotten T visa and VAWA work permit approvals. And so this is all the more evidence as we experience, yes, changes, especially in immigration enforcement, that they are still processing cases. If you qualify, move forward. Our clients had the courage to apply here in 2025, and now they have their protection because they made the move to get this done. Even though it wasn't immediate, the work permit wasn't immediate. They went through the process and they walked through the fire using faith, trusting our professionalism. And we have 4 clients that have their work permits. Work permits not only just mean the ability to work, but it means protection from removal. It means protection from detention. It means that you're able to get a great job in order to continue to settle and build a life here. So that's a great milestone for our clients. And these are actually work permits that they are getting while they wait for their case to be decided. The T visa does allow for that to happen, and these are 4-year work permits. One is a 5-year work permit, and the T visas are 4-year work permits. So it gives them plenty of time to be able to work and wait for the final decision to be made on their case. So this shows, guys, that even though processing times is about 2 years for these types of cases, over 3 years for VAWA, our clients have gotten these work permits within 6 to 12 months. And so they have 4-year work permits that's going to help to keep them stable, keep them secure while their process is moving forward. So they can find any job they want. They can travel within the United States. So where you are trying to consider whether you should move forward with your process, I say this: take the first step, talk to us. We can evaluate what you qualify for based on your circumstances, and then we can move forward. But our clients did exactly this. They reached out to us. We found they qualified. They went forward with it with our guidance, and they trusted us. And now they have their work permits. And that right now, that is very valuable because it means security and safety. VAWA work permits are now 4 years. No. So these work permits, the VAWA work permits, are coming within, I would say, 6 to 12 months. The VAWA, so you're mixing up 2 things. So they issue a work permit while you wait for the VAWA to be decided, and that takes 6 to 12 months. Then upon approval of the VAWA, you get a work permit again, and that's another 2-year work permit. And then within those 2 years, they process your green card. And so you would be able to get a green card. So they do send these out in stages. And so it's not where you wait 4 years just to get a work permit, unless you didn't apply for an adjustment of status. If you didn't apply for an adjustment of status, then the VAWA, to get the actual VAWA approval, you're looking at 3 to 3.5 years. All right. So I just wanted to share that good news. And what I would say here, for those of you who are joining me, you're trying to figure out, okay, what's a T visa work permit? What is a T visa? I'm going to quickly give you information about what the T visa is. So in this case, our clients that have gotten the T visa work permits, they have experienced a situation where an employer, even relatives, have mistreated them, and in the process of mistreating them, have forced them to do work. And so, for example, in the case of an employer, that employer did not pay them what was promised. So they may have promised them one thing, and then when they start to cut their pay them late, or they pay them the less hourly rate than they were promised. And that could be the tip of the iceberg. Usually I say when you're experiencing something like that, where they're not paying you on time, they're depriving you of your pay, they're pulling fees out of your pay, you're finding you owe them instead, they're pulling rent out of your pay, even before you get the money in hand, they're pulling rent out of your pay. You're working more hours than you anticipated. Well, no, you're working more hours than they told you you'd be working. They may have told you it's just going to be 40 hours, and you're working more than 40 hours without additional pay. Those are situations that could qualify you for the T visa. So keep that in mind. And if you're experiencing that, the first step you need to be taking is contacting us and talking to us about your situation, so that we are able to determine the best course forward for you. We can tell you whether you qualify and then get started on the process. Our clients had to start at some point. And because they took action, they are now being rewarded. The key here is to take steps towards actions that, yes, applying today does not mean you'll get it tomorrow. That's what happened with our clients. They applied one day, they knew they weren't going to get it the next day, but they knew that by submitting that application, they were giving themselves a chance to be protected and to get it in the near future. And we can say that we have delivered for our clients in this case, and they're safe. Right before coming on, I made the good news phone call to each of my clients that got it, and I tell you, they're either going to be too excited to sleep, or, well, some of them I know are going to be too excited to sleep, or they're going to sleep very well. Either way, it's a nice end to the night. So if you're experiencing any situations, I would say this: if you're being mistreated in any way, especially if you are being mistreated to the point where you feel forced or trapped in a situation, whether it's at work or in an intimate relationship or in a family relationship or family situation, talk to us first. That's going to be the most important step. The most important step is the first step. And that is going to be to give us a call and let's talk about your situation so we can help you to get action. Does ombudsman help? So what? Unfortunately, the ombudsman is not going to be much help because they did wind it down. So if I don't know what your situation is, but that may not be helpful anymore. All right, I'm taking questions. Put your questions in the comments now so I can answer your questions. I'm on Instagram, I'm on YouTube, I'm on Facebook, and I'm on TikTok. So put those questions in the comments. Let's see. My VAWA case has been a long time, so it takes a while. It takes a while, but it just depends. I don't know cases, but it takes a while, and especially now when there is a sense of urgency. I understand the frustration. If you get your work permit, can you go in the army? No. Well, here's what I say. I'm not a military recruiter, so I don't want to overstep and give you information that's incorrect. But what I would say is it's unlikely because they usually require either U.S. citizenship or permanent residence. So you can get in touch with a recruiter to see what their guidelines are. Maybe at the point where you do have your green card, you could make that move. So talk to a recruiter and see, whether that's possible. But whether you should talk to A recruiter also depends on what your situation is. How long will it take Brussels for tea? I'm not sure what that means. Usually to apply as a main applicant, you have to be in the country. Derivatives get to come in on a T visa. So I don't know if that's what you're talking about. It usually takes a matter of weeks once your T visa is approved. How long does it take? How long does a 102 application replacement of initial? I'm not sure what that is. Okay. Can I apply for C14 work permit if I already have deferred action last year approved? So usually with the deferred action, you should have been issued a work permit. So you'd have to look into that. Did you apply for a work permit? If you didn't apply for a work permit and you're on deferred action, you should be able to qualify for a work permit. So you should be applying for it. My N400 has been denied. What to do next? Consult an attorney. You may be able to have it reconsidered by filing an N336, but at this point, this is where it's very important to get legal representation, because as I've said before, citizenship applications are no joke anymore, right? They're making it a lot more complicated, and their expectations for what you're going to submit is going to be different. So you cannot approach this application as you would normally, right? Where you would just attach your green card, you would attach your birth certificate. It doesn't work that way anymore. You have to produce more information. Remember, they're doing more. They're doing checks now where they can, even if they don't get enough information about your good moral character, they can go into your community and go to your neighbors and start asking questions now about you, asking neighbors about you. In addition to that, they're requiring more for the good moral character requirement. They're requiring that you show what have you been doing to earn U.S. citizenship now, right? So you have to show all the good that you've been doing. So it's not just a matter of submitting a paper filing. It's more than that. Yeah, so the T visa, you have to wait for the process to be complete, and processing times are outside of my control. So if you have any questions, definitely get in touch. If you are a current client, please don't disclose any information on the live. That we must uphold confidentiality, and that's very, very important and privileged. So you have access to us. You must contact us. You have much better access. You don't have to ask us questions in the live. You need to talk to us through our usual mode of communication, because you have the ability to ask us even more questions than the live. So please make sure you're protecting yourselves. Hey, does it matter if a joint bank account was just made when you're in the process? No, not necessarily. However, what I have said is a joint bank account that you've just created with zero money in there is going to raise a red flag. Now, if you filed it with nothing in there, you filed it, then you made the joint bank account and filed it quickly, it's important for you to continue to use that bank account. But the both of you jointly use that bank account, make sure it's active, so that at the point you're called for an interview, you can bring additional documentation showing that, if the officer has any questions about it, showing that it's an active bank account. I have had to respond. So, I've had clients that have come to me to try to fix a notice of intent to deny from immigration, where They basically are giving the client a last chance to help convince them that they should be approved. And in this case, one of the things that they were going to deny them on was an empty bank account, right? So we had to show why it was still a bona fide marriage, even with an empty bank account, right? It turned out, and this is where I say, don't try to get a checklist and check the checklist off based on somebody else's marriage, because that's what happened in the case where I had to respond to the notice of intent to deny. The couple thought by just creating a joint bank account, they would have checked off a box to say, oh, we have a joint bank account. That means we're going to be approved. It did the opposite. It caused them to get a red flag on their case and almost got them denied. What turned out to be true is that the way they manage their money is they maintain their independent bank accounts, but they sent money to each other, so if they had any kind of joint bills or any financial responsibilities, they would exchange money through Cash App in order for one person to make the payments on those financial responsibilities. That turned out to be the better evidence here. So you have to be able to show them, how are you as a married couple. You should not be trying to meet the profile of another married couple. You should be presenting documentation that truly reflects how you as a married couple deal with your finances. And so when we were able to present that, it changed everything, right? Along with other, because in addition to that, then going to the interview, their answers were not matching up, right? And sometimes that happens just based on nerves, but there were some statements that they had questions about. And so when we were able to show evidence that overcome the doubts, they approved it. And our client got the green card after almost being denied. So I would say joint bank accounts, that an empty bank account can raise red flags. Just make sure you're updating, you're gathering the documents to show more. So if you have a new address, you should always update the address and give them the new current address. But keep in mind, I'm not your attorney. I can't advise you specifically on what to give the CBP coming in. You need to talk to your attorney. What's the best evidence if USCIS sent RFE for intent to marry bona fide U.S. citizen spouse? I'm not sure what that is. So if they send a request for evidence for more bona fides, it really is on a case-by-case basis. We have to know what your marriage looks like to be able to tackle the request for evidence. My N400 has been denied. So I answered that. Get in touch with an attorney. It may be reconsidered, but it depends on why it was denied. Can you remarry when your divorce is out and apply for the green card next? Once your divorce is legally finalized, then you can remarry at that point. And as long as you've properly terminated your previous marriages, then I'm free to remarry. Now, keep in mind that I don't know, did you have any previous filings with that spouse? You also have to make sure you're being advised and represented on potential issues and questions that could arise during the marriage-based process, just because they're doing more vetting and screening to identify fraud. VAWA filed 2022 work permit and parole received and only get prima facie letter. Should I worry? No, that's totally normal. You can expect 3 to 3.5 years to get a decision on the VAWA. And the 2022 work permit should hold you over on them. Just make sure you are, if it expires, that you're applying for it to be renewed. Can you remarry when your divorce is out? And so I answered that. But C14 category has ended June 6th. So can I still apply since I already have approved I-360? So with the I-360, if you have to make sure that you've checked off the box on your I-360 when you're submitting it that you want your work permit. If you didn't, they are not going to automatically issue the work permit, and you would have to apply for your work permit through the approved VAWA. My biometrics was last December. I'm waiting for my work permit visa. So yeah, just make sure you're in touch with us. If your brother applied for you, are you going to get the work permit? No. Actually, if your brother applies for you and you're in the US and you've overstayed, that could actually make you vulnerable to be sent a notice to appear in immigration court. This is why it's very important to now talk to an attorney to make sure that the actions you're taking qualifies you. So many relatives right now are just jumping up and applying for their relatives, their immigrant relatives, just wanting to do something. And they may be taking action that's more putting their relative at risk for detention. And I would say this is the type of situation that they were talking about in the USCIS changes, that if you file a petition only and you overstayed your visa, I don't know if you did, but if you overstayed your visa while you're here and petition is filed on your behalf, that they can, they will, while considering your petition, they can identify that you're without your papers and then issue a notice to appear and say, well, go back to your country and you know, they can figure out the petition. You can figure out the petition from your country, right? Because they're saying them sending you back does not necessarily disqualify them from making a decision on the petition. So it's procedurally, you have to understand what is going on. You can't apply for this thinking, let's just try anything, because you might be putting yourself at increased risk for a notice to appear. To renew my VAWA work permit, I was told to add 540 days after expired date to get the new date. Yeah, so there is an automatic extension. However, I would have to check to see if it's still 540 days. It may be 6 months. I'd have to check to make sure there weren't any policy changes. But usually when you're renewing and you properly renew, you get an automatic extension. It's usually on your receipt notice that's sent to you once you submit your renewal application for the work permit. Hi, good night. Currently in Jamaica, my green card expired last year and out of 4 years now. So it depends on your situation. We'd want to know more, because in some cases you can apply for a special visa that gives you the ability to re-enter the United States. And but we'd have to understand what happened. Why is it that you are out? Were out of the country? What happened? Or have you been maintaining any bills or any residence here in order to determine how to move forward with that application? But you basically have to apply through the embassy, and we can help with that, but we have to talk to you first. Green card can travel to Europe. I am not an attorney in Europe, an immigration attorney in Europe, but green card holders may need to get visas in certain countries. So you'd have to check with, for example, if it's EU, you have to check with them to see, do you need a visa for the EU? Same with the UK. You know, they have their own visa requirements. Australia, same thing. Check for their requirements. I-751 is still pending, but my extension get expired next year, March. I am really worried. No, don't. What I shouldn't say don't worry, because it's taking so long. And if you got a 48-month extension, that makes it worse. But what I would say is, if it's coming down to extension on March 1st, you should then submit a request to get an I-551 stamp in your passport that continues to give you an extension while they make a decision on the I-751. So it's also called an ADIT stamp. So you should look towards getting that done. When our clients, this situation is happening for our clients, that's what we do. Do you help with NOID? Yes, but it depends on the deadline. We need to have sufficient, because they do give deadlines, and it's 30 days from the date of denial. So not denial, but the date of the notice is 30 days, usually 30 days, but they'll put the deadline in the NOID. So we need to talk to you to figure out what's going on. So you must schedule an appointment with us, and then we can look at that NOID for you. Can you explain October 2025 visa bulletin regarding F2A for spouse abroad, husband filed March 2024? So there's a current priority date that they depend on, and it's too complicated to get into detail here. And honestly, it even is hard for some attorneys to master. So usually you're on a wait list, and you have to wait for a certain date to pass before they can say you're at the top of the wait list for your turn to come. Now you're abroad, so once your turn comes, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're just going to get the interview, and unfortunately it's not that fast. You're looking at about a 2 to 3 year process to get through. What about EB4, I-485? How long would it take for 2023 cases? So the EB4 is that the SIJS? I would have to understand what category you're in. But you can check I-485 processing times as well. Thank you for the follows. Thank you for the love. I appreciate it. People that cross border can still get the work permit through T visa, through VAWA. If you qualify for an immigration benefit, and that also allows you to apply for that benefit despite how you entered, then yes, our clients are, no matter how they entered, are getting the work permit, because the T visa allows for that and the VAWA allows for that. But it just depends on your facts, right? Just because crossing the border does make it harder, but that's where we find solutions for individuals, and VAWA and the T visa are some of those avenues if they qualify. Can you reach out to USCIS to check on the cases? So we don't just do that for anybody. We may do that for our clients, but not just for anybody that calls us to check the status. My bro has an INS detainee hold completed his sentence. He was 15. Should he fight ineffective counsel? That is very complicated. Now we do, and we do deportation defense. And we now keep in mind, criminal defense, once he's in the custody of the jail, he has an immigration hold there, he is still under custody of the state. And usually it becomes an immigration issue once he's given to ICE. So it really is a process, and unfortunately it can be scary because the police is putting a hold and refusing to release them even though they finish their sentence. But at the same time, immigration may be saying now that he's deportable. And so now he has to fight his deportation. So give us a call. We are defending people in immigration court. Give us a call so we can formulate a strategy and work on a release or work on a defense that's going to keep them here or lead to the best results possible. T visa work permit is taking longer than it should. Am I waiting for 10 months now? and it's hard. Absolutely. Wait times across the board is getting longer because of the policies in place. So just hang tight and, talk to your attorney. Just make sure everything is on track. What about EB4, I-485? How long? So I don't know. It just depends. Oh, SIJS. So right now, for I-485s, it depends on your current priority date. Right now, they're on hold. They've maxed out. So we'll have to wait till at least after October to see if that opens up more. So it's going slow right now. It's time for me to naturalize and get my passport, but I have outstanding tickets. Give us a call. Um, this is where I say don't depend on a live to tell you whether you have an issue or not. If you have tickets and if you have tickets, so if go ahead and talk to us, you know where to call us, right? If you're my client, you know exactly where to talk to us. So don't do it on the live. Does PIP take long to be processed? I would say it could take 6 months to 12 months for military parole in place. Now, if with your citizenship, if you have you have tickets, you need to talk to us or an attorney, because right now, citizenship, anything on your record that's negative means that they are going to red flag it, and they'll have questions. And where outstanding tickets can be an issue. So, for one, maybe I don't know what your circumstances are, but solving those outstanding tickets could be a solution. So you can go into that in citizenship, showing that you've cleared them out. However, they're going to look at that and they're going to determine, is this a habit? What do people in your community do? Do the people in your community usually get this kind of these kind of tickets too? If not, it could raise an issue. Then you have to go ahead and present information to show the positives, that your case has that you've solved the problem. Were there any circumstances that led to that? What else have you been doing that's good? So this is where you have to really make sure. How long does it take to get your social and work permit based on marriage? I would say 3 to 6 months, and we got the last one in 2 months. Know that the visa bulletin shows that they're gonna be current by February 2024. I filed mine June 2025, so I'm not sure which one you're talking about. Will it make it faster? It just depends on the pace. You just have to wait until the priority date changes. Can a minor qualify for a U visa? Absolutely. How long does it take to get your social and work permit? I'll answer that 3 to 6 months, and we just got the last one in 2 months. And basically 2 months after filing, a week after doing the biometrics. If I'm gonna go through the immigration process, can I file bankruptcy and does it affect the case? That is very specific, and we have to understand your circumstances. It just depends. Is there a good moral character consideration that in that case, it may reflect badly? All right, so now I'm on YouTube and Facebook. How long does it take? I'm not sure what. Oh, I think we talked about the 102 application replacement of initial, and I didn't get the rest. So what if you do not have all the evidence for VAWA? What do you do? It really depends you may feel like you don't have all the evidence, but you may be over complicating the situation? Did you get a request for evidence? What are you thinking is the requirement for VAWA? So this is where you need to talk to your attorney, or definitely do an appointment so that we can understand your situation and advise and move forward from there. Good evening. Kudos on the wonderful work you continue to do. Awesome. Thank you, Damien. My dad is a US citizen and he's filing for me. Does he need to file an I-130 for my children separately? So so it depends. If you're 21 or older, then you definitely need to make sure that your children are in the application. So they're all going to be in the application. If you're under 21 and your dad is a US citizen filing for you, then it's going to be separate I-130s. But as always, this is not personalized legal advice. You need to definitely talk to an attorney. You can always talk to us and we can get to the root of that for you. US citizen, parent, sponsor, adult, unmarried, children prior to date 2018, case NVC. How long again for green card interviews? So you can expect at minimum 5 to 7 years. And I would say 5 to 7 years for them to start processing the case from the date 2018, and then add another 1.5 to 2 years until you get the interview. Why VAWA receipt notice is taking so long? It's been 4 months since I filed my VAWA. No receipt notice. So yes, we're just noticing that it's backed up. Unfortunately, it's backed up. So is it safe to go to Florida on your work permit? As long as you can show that you have a current and valid work permit, it's definitely, you have more freedom of movement. Of course, keep in mind that you still want to be cautious. You still want to make sure that you keep yourself safe. You don't take any unnecessary risk. But having the work permit is a really good milestone in the process, because it means that you have official proof of your permission to be here while your process is moving forward, and you can legally work here. How long does the T visa take? So it's right now it's 22 months. You do get a bona fide determination along the way that provides protection from deportation, and then a work permit comes afterwards. And so those are good, good benefits while you wait for the process. So for the T visa, it's not just about, waiting 22 months, but it's the fact that you do get protection along the way. My son is in court for misdemeanor. If found guilty, will this affect his citizenship application? He definitely needs to get legal advice. A misdemeanor can possibly even result in deportation. So, and now more than ever, we're seeing those situations where people are just being picked up for things that were not necessarily, wouldn't prevent one from continuing to live here. So they need legal advice. I can't stress that enough. Thank you so much for that encouragement. I appreciate it. I have a receipt of the T visa and I have the number for receipt number. And when I go to check every time he give me any news or update. I'm not sure what that means. Okay, so I'm wondering if you're talking about the fact that when the T visa, when you look at the receipt number for T visas, because it's highly confidential, they do not let you check the status online because it's a highly confidential type of application. So you might be getting an error. I don't know if that's what you're referring to. If the immigration interview told me I'll get an RFE in the mail, how long would it take to get one? It could take 2 to 3 weeks. Do you assist in petition papers? Yes, as long as you qualify, and we can look at that for you. A married daughter of a U.S. citizen. So if you're in that category, keep in mind that that's a 12-year category. And if you're here, if you've already overstayed, that petition would not give you any protection. So you want to look at other options, give us a call. We can talk to you about your current situation and then determine the best way forward. So I'm very anxious about my case. I applied last year in November. I got my work permit and SSN in January. I got the travel authorization this month, but no sign of the green card. And it depends on what your case is and your facts. Sometimes that happens. I would say it's not out of the ordinary. 10 to 12 months is pretty standard for, I don't know if this is marriage based or a family based, but it's pretty standard for it to it's still within processing time. So, and keep in mind, they're doing more. Okay, so I see it's marriage based. So they're doing more screenings. And so that's, pushing the process further along. Okay, good night. My mother just received her 10-year green card. I'm 21, overstayed on B1, B2 visa. Can my mom start my filing now? How soon will I get any document from the USCIS? You need to get legal advice for sure. Keep in mind that if you're 21 or older, and your and you've overstayed, your mom files a petition, you could actually be putting yourself at a higher risk to get a notice to appear for deportation. So you need to make sure you understand the procedural requirements, the risk involved, and determine whether there are any other legal options that could be available to you. Hello, do you assist for visa immigration applications? It depends on the visa. Give us a call. We do an initial evaluation to determine whether you qualify for our assistance, and that's going to tell you whether we can help you, whether we feel we can help you. How much for the consultation fee? $150. My work permit is Hope. How long does it take to get an app for misrepresentation? So yeah, I'm not sure what your situation is. Definitely, if you're concerned about misrepresentation, you need to talk to an attorney. How long are VAWA EAs and APs taking now? 6 to 12 months. I need an urgent consultation. We're 24 hours. So give us a call right now. Let them know you need an urgent consultation, and then they'll give you the closest available date. Our schedules are filling up, so you need to make sure that you're contacting us right now. You can contact us right now to be able to get in on the consultation. My sister filed for VAWA 32 months. Do you think she's not too far from a decision? I don't think she's too far from a decision. Yeah, I don't think she is. So I would say, yeah, expect it any day. How long it took to get her T visa approval? Did they issue EAD first or just T visa approval? So our clients have the T visa while waiting for the T visa approval, and the approvals are about 10 months now for the work permits after filing. The entire processing time is 22 months. And we might see it get longer. And when I was practicing during the last Trump administration, by the end of that administration, citizenships were taking a year and a half. Visas, spouse applications were taking a year and a half to 2 years. So things got very long. By 2020, the processing times got a lot longer. Went from, I remember, 6-month processes. At one point, VAWA, between the time the VAWA was approved and the green card was 6 months to a year. Now it's over 3 years. So it is definitely, we can expect a possibility of processing times to get longer. That's where I say start now. Don't wait. Don't be caught regretting. Now, can you reach out to USCIS to check on the case status? Absolutely, we do that all the time. And in immigration at the USCIS, it's a situation where we know what to expect. There is a process that we see repeatedly that we know the cases are not outside of processing times. And keep in mind that when the case is still, it's taking long for you. So I know this is a common frustration for many immigrants, and that is the case is taking very long. You have your personal, personal needs. There are things that need to be done, and it's becoming very frustrating. Absolutely, I get it. However, unfortunately, on the immigration side, they have certain processing times. And if you're not outside of that processing time and you don't have an emergency, they likely will keep you within the long processing time. So keep in mind, for our clients, we are on top of their cases, and we know when a case is taking too long, we take action then. But we very much are aware of the processing times, what the process looks like, what to expect next. And that's the benefit of having your attorney on the case. Are they waiving green card interviews? Because mine says that steps is completed. So it depends on what your situation is. I would say that most people expect an interview. What happened when an immigration judge dismiss your immigration case? If it's just a dismissal with no benefit, then it means that you are, I don't know did they dismiss? Why did they dismiss it? I guess would be, I have more questions for you at this point than you have for me, because I need to know, why did the judge dismiss it? Do you have other benefits? Do you qualify for something else? Are you applying for something else? I went for first interview in May, and in August they sent another email for second interview. If this is marriage based, I would be very concerned. Actually, for any case, but especially marriage case based cases, it's called a Stokes interview. And at that point, they have their eyes and ears wide open for fraud. They want to be able to see if they're going to sniff fraud and confirm fraud. So in that case, it's important to be prepared. Can't stress that enough, because that second interview it may be a tough interview. So if you already did the interview, I don't know what your situation is, but if you did the first interview in May and now you're getting a second one, you could see something like that happening. Our IRS payment plan is still acceptable. Yes, just make sure you have proof of your IRS, your payment plans. Can you please explain what is the visa bulletin saying? No, I'm confused. That is a whole other story. I'll see if I can do a video on it. On YouTube, Getting the Green Card, I do more long form videos. I'll do a video on it there. Actually, I have done a video on it. So you can always check on the Getting the Green Card on YouTube. And you should see it's a long ways. I believe I did it last year, June or July or August. Okay, so they said the first one is canceled. So yeah, I wish you had started with that it was canceled. If it was canceled, they're setting a second interview, then that makes sense, right? It means that you're getting a chance again to get this finished and done with. So I would not call that a Stokes interview. It's where you went through the interview, maybe things didn't go very well, and they're doing another interview. Good evening. 1 year VAWA approved, 7 months they receive medical. How long for green card? So I would say anywhere from 6 months to a year. Came K1 visa and didn't apply for adjustment of status. So is there any time limitation or can I apply? So usually they give you 90 days to apply for it. If you didn't apply and you're still married to that spouse, I would have to, that's definitely a question I'd have to look into, because usually you have the 90 days. So I'd have to see if there's a bar there. But give us a call and we can have that answer for you in a consultation, of course. Okay, you got a request for evidence. Is that good or bad? I would say to use it as an opportunity. A request for evidence is an opportunity to get it approved. We have gotten requests for evidence. We've gotten tough questions and we have prevailed, guys, because we don't let it intimidate us. We look at it as an opportunity to get our clients the relief. And immigration is saying when they issue RFEs, they're basically saying, we think you may qualify, but we just need you to answer these questions first. If you get these questions right, then we'll go ahead and give you that green card or that benefit. So, and the RFE may not be anything major. Maybe you got notification and RFE was sent and you're dreading it. But when you get it, it's something like, can you send your birth certificate? All right. Hi there, Olumide. It's nice to see you. Thank you. Good evening. All right, I'm going to call it a night, everybody. I know you need personalized legal advice because none of this here is personalized legal advice. Give us a call. We are 24/7. You need that appointment ASAP. Give us a call. They'll be able to help you. Our schedules are filling up, so take action now. And based on the victories that we got earlier, we got 4 work permits, VAWA and T work permits. I want to remind you that it takes courage, it takes faith, but it takes action. And those clients at the top of this year and late last year, with everything happening, our clients said they're moving forward. They took action and now they have protection while their process is moving forward. The consultation is $150. Give us a call. The staff will get you on the schedule so that our attorneys here at ST Law Office can assist you. All right. So thanks again. And remember, if you are a client, you have all the resources available to you to talk to us directly. So don't put your information on the live. Make sure you are talking to us. I'm pretty sure you have an entire legal team. So I'm pretty sure you have the ability to communicate with our team to get information and to get status updates and to talk to us about your concerns. We are here at your disposal. So talk to us through the proper channels, not through the live. This is for general information. You can ask a lot more specific questions through the channels that we give you to communicate with us directly. All right. Have a good night, everybody. Bye-bye.